Answer that in this manner. If in fact you have enough votes on your side of the aisle, the operation of county government should not be all that difficult. But what we have found lately, we've had some reformers come to the table who made an alliance with the Republicans at the table, and so we never had the votes to do all that needed to be done, and oftentimes got forced into doing some things that perhaps he would not have done if he had had more power.
Are they legitimate reformers, or are they just using that as a facade?
Well, you know, when you talk about reform, it's talk about my concept of government as opposed to your concept of government. Mm-hmm. But all governments need people and money.
Yeah.
And so where are you going to get the money from, and where are you going to get the people from? And usually you get the people by getting rid of all the people that's there and replacing them with all the people that you want to have the jobs. Or if you get the money, you wind up taxing. Many people say, well, why would you raise our taxes? And because the cost of government keeps going up. The people that you have working want to get paid, and in a lot of instances, they're built-in increases. We had cut back about $100 million in 2007, and very little was said about it in the press. It kept harping on how many patronage workers we had. So much to the point that the next president of the Cook County Board will find it very difficult to manage county government.
Yeah, that's something I want to ask you about. But one thing I know that the county has done right, in my opinion, because I do play a little golf, they've done a good job. And as far as, you know, that's one of the few things they have outsourced, you know, to Casper. And I think that Casper has done a very good job. I see the city got rid of Kemper and also brought Casper over to take over the courses for the city here.
Well, I'm glad to hear that we did something good.
Right, yeah, I think that.
But that's another government.
Okay.
In Forest Preserve.
Okay.
The same people are in charge of it.
Right.
But it's another government by state law.
Oh, okay. Now, you just said it would be difficult for the next president to run the board. What do you think about this proposal or this bill that they're working on, trying to change the way in which the votes have to be on
in order to raise taxes?
Right.
Well, I think again it would put us in a situation where you would have to go across the aisle to get votes, and so naturally, when you do that, you give the minority party power. And that's how I see that playing out.
So you got to play politics in order to,
well,
I give you scratch your back type thing. I
yeah,
gotta get something,
you have to do that, but I think it just gives, for instance, there are 5 Republican commissioners now, and 12 Democratic commissioners. We should be able to pass any law, do anything that we want to do, except for the fact that the reformers have gone across the aisle and got those 5 votes from the Republicans, or the Republicans have come across the aisle and got 5 votes from the Democratic side, which makes it difficult.
Who are some of these reformers you speak of? I mean, I you know, look like they've been there.
One was named Mike Quigley. He went to Congress.
Right.
The other was Forrest Claypool, who I believe was the darling of the media,
yes,
and whom everybody wanted to be the new county board president.
Right.
I would think that Larry Sufferton would be in that group.
Yeah.
And Maldonado, who is now an alderman.
Yes.
And perhaps Erling Collins, who is out of the far west side.
Yeah. Some of these names you name, I don't see anything reformist about them as far as I see reform. I think reform is to try to change a system to make it better for all, not just for few.
Well, I'm certain that if you ask them, that's what they would say they're doing.
Sure they would. You know, I noticed ever since when George Dunn was the president of the Cook County Board, he had no problems.
Since that he was think at the time, chairman of the Democratic
Yes.
Party.
Right.
He was a long-time powerhouse in in the politics of the city and the county.
Right.
And so there was also this hidden fact that commissioners were picked at large
Right.
while he was sitting in the
Right.
chair.
Right.
And so you had to run all over the county
Right.
in order to get a job that paid at the time about $40,000 a year.
Yeah, but speaking of,
But
what
would
does it
probably-
pay now? What does it pay now?
80.
Okay.
But it probably would have cost you $250,000 to win the seat.
Yeah.
So naturally, anybody that wasn't slated would have a very difficult time winning the seat. Here comes the Iceman.
Yes.
As a reformer,
Yes. Well, I mean, I think I think in public life, most people kind of see you as a good public servant. I really think that that's the image of you out there.
well, I've tried to be.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I used to tell folks that Jeremiah and Butler, Jeremiah, exalted servant of God, and Butler, servant of man.
Yeah.
So I ought to know how to serve, and so I've tried to do that. But it's very difficult when you don't have everyone pulling in the same direction.
Because I know a lot of people have been talking about Jerry for mayor, and people have I've heard that across the years. Since how long have you been a commissioner now?
Since 1986.
Okay, yeah.
My
So
first year.
yeah, I've heard that. I've heard people wanting you to throw your hat in the ring, but
So they could throw it back.
that's normally the case. I love you as long as you're sitting where you are. Come on. And the minute they put you out there, they pull away from
Well,
you.
you create enemies.
Yes,
As a
yes.
matter of fact, there's a man by the name of James Mack who was a great musician, arranger, and a professor over at Harold Washington College. He came by my house one day. I was cutting the grass, and he said, "Jerry, I hear you planning to run for politics." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Why? People like you." It took me a little while to figure out what he was telling me, but it dawned on me after I got elected.
Yeah. Yeah. What commissions boards do you sit on the county?
Well, I'm chairman of the Health and Hospitals Committee, which has now become almost defunct because of the new health and hospital system that has been put in place. I also serve as one of the members of this new system. It's an 11-member board, and we are going to try and reform the health system
Along with the president, huh?
in county government.
Yeah.
I serve on several new committees, and when I say new committees, these are committees that came to me because of the Maldonado leaving and Quigley leaving. But basically, almost all of the committees consists of the committees of the whole, and at least the important committees, Finance Committee, Law Enforcement, those kinds of committees.
That's right, you're in charge. How is the health system for Cook County?
Well, we have just hired a new chief executive, and we have high hopes for him. One of the things we need to do, and this was really the argument behind the tax increase, was that when we had the $100 million cutback, we cut too deep and canceled a lot of the services that the Bureau of Health had been given, closed some clinics, moved some things around. Now we need to replace them. And hopefully we're going to replace them with better and more qualified individuals, and that our system will run better. The CEO, Bill Foley, has said in a meeting that if we want our patients to have good care, then we have to have employees who feel that they're being cared about. And so that's going to be the focus.
Yeah, because you did lay out quite a few people, and seemed like it was pretty contentious, when it was going through. People was charging the county with different things.
And it's not over yet. There's still going to be more, because what we found is that we have an overabundance of people in some spots and not enough in others.